Man,
All right, well,
I've been looking forward to this one.
yeah,
Actually,
we as soon as we started it, we're like, man, it'd be awesome to get Swoope on.
that was
So,
the
like,
first thing we said.
Well, I'm flattered. I'm very flattered.
well, you've
Actually,
got,
we said Dave, and then he shot us down. So we're like, Swoop would be really cool too.
but like you've got one of the most unique stories, kind of in sports, like ever. Like it's got to be up there. And like just to kind of give everybody a rundown, you're a basketball player essentially your whole life, and then somehow you finish your basketball college career and you jump right into the NFL, which is crazy. You've done a little stint in the NFL, and you're training now. And I don't even know where to start because like for you, you're so like you've got it all together. Like you've got your nutrition like dialed. I always see you eating like good food, like nice meal prep. You're in like good shape. You can tell you've stayed grinding, stayed working, and like it's not like new stuff. You're not motivated. You're really disciplined.
It's this discipline. Yeah.
So it's like do we start with how in the hell do you play basketball your whole life?
Just get in the NFL?
Yeah, or do we start with all the like I know you've got like you're just gonna be a gold mine of like training and nutrition information as well. So do you have a preference? Where do you want to start?
You can just introduce yourself first.
Yeah.
And,
let's start there.
We'll
go from there.
Yeah, give us a little rundown. Who's Eric Swoope?
Excited about it.
I'm
Okay, well, hi everybody. My name is Eric Swoope. I born and raised in Southern California. I had the blessing of going to an awesome high school I'm very proud of called Harvard Westlake School. And that's kind of where all of what you guys see today is what it is. So that's kind of where I'll say my journey hit its peak in terms of tapping into process.
So that's like a kind of like a private school or like a big sports development academy?
No, so this is a academic
carry the name
the
Harvard,
hardest
usually.
academic experience I've ever had.
Yeah.
And it was just a place where if you have a talent, they try and push it. Whatever it is. I mean, it could be there was kids when I was there that were making iPhone apps when Apple was like just making phones. It was kids that were designing surgical gloves that they were selling to major hospitals. I mean, like ground earth shattering type of stuff for the type of kids that I was around. And the coolest thing when I learned there is if there's something you want to do it, just put everything you have into it. So that was kind of where my sports journey, my life journey had this huge kind of like explosion of let me tap into what does it mean to be essentially successful, because so I grew up in a city called Lake Elsinore. It's a suburb about halfway down between San Diego and LA. Awesome place. And I started playing travel basketball, I think at 11. So at 11, I'm already traveling around the world playing basketball, or not around the world, around the country playing basketball, and make a couple friends from LA. So I start actually driving, let's just say 80 miles to practice 3 times a week.
That's a good commute right there.
Love my family. They believed in me, and we can get to that when we get there. But came across a couple of friends that told me about this school. Hey, there's this, if you like academics, like really like academics, there's this place in LA that for some reason is not very spoke of or talked about. And you go through a full college application style process, entrance exams, interviews, the whole 9 yards. And you go there and meet kids. I mean, it's a middle school and a high school, but I was going in the high school portion, which is more rare there. They like to kind of build you all the way up. But you go there, and this is a chance basically to set yourself up for the rest of your life. I had no idea. Of course, I'm 13 going on 14 years old. I'm like, sure, I just want to play varsity basketball, and we'll figure the rest out. But
you don't know how important that time of your life is. Like we've talked a little bit about like your developmental period, like in athleticism, but we've not really spoke on it.
Like from a mental standpoint.
Yeah, your education.
Yeah.
But like kids, they're so impressionable, and you hear that all the time, but I don't feel like we really look at that for what it is. It like impressionable means like you can turn this person into what they're gonna be, or you can like teach them ways to be successful, and like getting in a school like that is gonna challenge a kid and like push them, and then show them like seeing kids develop apps and like products to sell to like hospital, like that's crazy. Like, and when you see kids that can do that, like what you think you can do like just as an adult, like it's gonna be infinite. Like you see someone your age and your parents are smarter than you, but kids can do this. So what can I do as an adult? And
exactly.
There's no limits in that.
Did your parents present the idea of the school to you? It was your buddy?
So it was my buddies. So and they're still my best friends this day. My buddy Mike and Austin, we were playing together. We were actually rivals for a bit, and then we all kind of joined in trying to make like the best Southern California team we could. And they were the ones that presented the idea to me personally, and then the conversation led to my family. And to go there at the time, tuition was $27,000. So we already knew if you don't have a scholarship opportunity, it's not happening. It's not even an option. But at the time, I humored him, was like, yeah, sure, let's just see where this goes. And I had to take like a entrance exam course to learn how to take like the standardized 6-hour exam. Jeez. I mean, it was like,
how old were you?
This was 13. I mean, this is like 13 going on 14.
6-hour exam.
Yeah. It was.
I could barely do that when I was 18.
I don't know if I can do it now.
ACT, I'm like, it's itching my face. Like
I may have peaked when I was 13 with the 1-hour exam, because like 3 minutes right now is like pushing
these kneecaps are a breeze, baby. You're talking 6-hour test.
Wow.
Jeez,
It was. I remember it because I didn't know what I was getting into. So I, learned a little bit of the information, took the test, and was just like, so did it go well? I have no idea that this actually has like real weight on where my journey was going. And then my buddies basically told me, so if you get accepted, you get a big box. If you don't get accepted, you just get a letter in the mail. So for the next, I don't remember specifically, but let's just say for the next about 6 to 8 weeks, it was just like checking the front door.
Yeah.
And, I came back from a basketball tournament.
There's your box.
There's a box.
Oh, man.
And like,
how does that feel?
It felt like I had won the lottery, and I still didn't even know what I was getting into yet. Like I still had no idea. But yeah, I just knew like something good is going to come of this, because to everyone I'm around and to those that I trust, I'm being told this is a very big deal.
Right.
And but the first thing was, we lived in Lake Elsinore. The school was in North Hollywood. That's 90 miles.
Yeah.
So I was like, so where do we go from here? So my older brother, I just have one sibling, my older brother, Devin. He actually graduated high school early. He's 10 times smarter than I am, but he was a JUCO at the time. And it was kind of like a perfect storm where my little neighborhood, everyone had kind of grown up and moved out, and we were like the last family there. So we tried to put the house in the market, and my family said, well, if you want to go there, we're all going to go.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, this is big.
This is big,
I need to now and that's kind of where I was like, I need to take this weight and understand like people are investing in me.
Mm-hmm.
And like and most of my early upbringing was just trying to fathom that like there's people counting on me to get certain things done now. And not that they ever outright put that type of pressure, but that was just like the internal conversation. Right. And that's where I was like, okay, I need to get really good really fast. It's kind of where my mindset went.
I don't know if I've ever even heard something like that before. Like you know kids that they move around because their parents get new jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Their parents are, they're chasing their kind of their way to provide for the family they currently have.
Right.
But like hearing that your parents were willing to like invest in you kind of like inversely, like almost like invest in your education by moving and like uprooting a new house, new jobs.
Right.
Like, yeah. Like that's crazy, but it's also super insightful, like the whole goal, kind of as a human is to help your offspring do better than like you had, like you always hear that, if if you've grown up, you know, in like a reasonable family situation, which
Yeah.
I believe we were all pretty blessed in that aspect. But you hear that, you know, we want you to do better than we were able to do. And that's like a really outside the box way of achieving that. And that like, that's like probably pretty unique.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. That support and that commitment is just
exactly like
awesome.
being a grown up now and knowing like how much sacrifice that is for something you genuinely have no idea if it's going to work out or not. Like we're just going to uproot, change our jobs, change everything. Hopefully our little baby boy like figures out that he needs to like get it done. Yeah. Like that was for me, especially because I have a very close relationship with my older brother, and I would say we're mature for our age. So those were the types of conversations him and I were having. Like, let's make this something. Like, we're seeing these stars at the time. This was like, you know, we had seen Shaq and Kobe, and we're seeing the Lakers and all these successful athletes. And my family's big tennis fans. We'd just seen the Williams sisters kind of blow up. And I felt like my family, not that they thought I would be on that level, but we were hearing these stories of parents like just making the unbelievable sacrifice. And then like to sit in Los Angeles and like, they just did that for me. Holy crap. Like that is such a big deal. Awesome. And just trying not to let that like weigh you down. Like, oh, now I got to go do it. And then just trying to take that energy on and saying, okay, let's make them proud and make something special happen.
Well, I think you probably did right by him because you came out as one of the best athletes in Southern California.
Yeah. So the high school journey, we'll kind of fast forward, but the high school journey it was rocky academically, but ended up at a very, very high note. But yes, on the basketball court by my senior year, let's just go back. I started dunking at 12 years old. Let's get to the athletic side of things. I got net at 12. So I was
I was pumped.
I've done a jump before. I did up until I was like 20.
Yeah, I was already like 6'1.5" at 12. Wow, so I was
awesome.
Big kid. Yeah. And that was, of course, why good things were coming athletically. Yeah. Right. And I showed up my freshman year of high school as 6'3", 235. So I was I was ready for the next level when I got there.
That's a monster.
And then, so if we fast forward through the journey, everything goes very, very well there. I have a lot of success. My senior year, I think statistically, I don't know if I still hold the record, but my field goal percentage was like close to 80%. It was like pretty much every shot I took, I made. Yeah, Most of it was dunks, to be frank. But we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of success. We won my senior year. We won 26 games straight, which was I think tied for the record for like my high school's best ever team. And basketball was very big at Harvard Westlake, so that did carry a lot of weight. And I dunked on a lot. Yeah. I also, the cool thing with that journey is Southern California basketball has a lot of faces in the NBA now. So that's been like the other cool side of the journey.
Like I dunked on that guy.
Yeah, like
that guy.
I dunked on him. I played with that guy. Like, I beat him too. Yeah. Awesome. He's playing right now on national TV. Wow, how about that?
That's crazy. Like, so you said the academics were challenging at this school. So how did you basketball's, you've got like basketball's kind of your ticket. Like, you're very talented. And you've got something with this basketball thing. So how did you balance like improving your basketball while you passing these extremely tough courses?
So the cool thing about where I went is, I'll say in a public school system, anytime that you meet with your professors, right, that'd be something negative. You're failing. There's a problem. No, at this school, if you don't have class, they just have office hours, just like a regular university. So my freshman year, I'll never forget this because this was like, I thought everything was going to go belly up. I was taking a World in Europe class, and I'd never really studied for an exam before. Mm-hmm. In middle school, I had like 120% just because I was there and happy. Yeah. And I mean, we had a real like hour and a half exam. And so, everyone tells you, reread your notes, and that will give you the prophecy you need to succeed. So that's what I did. I spent 2 weeks, took my test, and I got a 61. And
there we go.
And this is my first exam, 61.
Nailed it.
And I'm like, oh boy. And this is a school where if you're not doing well, you're out. Right. So I'm like, oh my God, we just moved here. I've only been here like half a semester. I'm basically failing. Next test comes up. I'm like, I got this. I know my drive, my hunger, whatever, my story. And I get a 62. I'm like,
hey, that was improvement.
It was for what it's worth. It was because at the time I didn't know that you could meet with professors.
Right.
So when I actually dove into like, how do you succeed academically in a college preparatory type school, is you have to literally immerse yourself in what you're doing. And that's what started to play into my basketball. So then it was seeing my professor, spending time in the library with classmates in group settings, talking about the material, reflecting on it, blah, blah, blah. And then after that, it was 80s and 90s. And then I was able to pretty much sail through unscathed the rest of the time. And I think I actually finished my senior year on like honor roll. I was like, holy crap, this is like the hardest school. And I mean, to put in perspective, I mean, we had a large majority go Ivy League. And that's just doing well in the material. So that kind of little breaking point, which is minute in the grand scheme of things, but that's when it showed me that, okay, what I just did here, I need to flip around and do that in my sport. And that's kind of where things started to blend.
I mean, what a great lesson to learn, too. Like, that you have these people who can be a resource for you.
Yeah.
And even now, I'll see, like, you hurt your back one day, and the next day, you're already talking to Tony, the massage therapist here. And the next day, you're already talking to Toby, our bodywork guy, because you're like, I got a problem. I'm going to use these resources to fix them.
Exactly.
And that's like, if you have a question about an exercise, I see you grabbing Joe or Dave or any of the coaches and figuring it out. It's like, that's I don't know if we talk about that as athletes enough. It's a skill, right?
Yeah.
To be able to reach out.
Yeah, it is. Especially as men. I mean, we're all,
I don't need help.
Yeah, we're too proud to have that conversation that, hey, I'm struggling with something and I don't know the answer. And that was like the cool thing is, that's a very small example, but it trickled down the path. Yeah. That's why I love being here.
That's a lifelong skill.
Exactly. It's just asking,
being comfortable. Doing that.
I feel like this is another like really Eric unique lesson. You took the challenges presented from your studies and then you applied that to sports. Like usually kids are signed up to do athletics so they can learn like life lessons and how to apply
through their sport
athletics to school. Well, it shows that if you're challenged in school and like someone presents like something tough for you, like academically, that you're going to learn lessons there that apply to sports.
Right.
And like you never hear that. You always hear about the life
it's always the other way around
from sports, but you never hear about like how a challenging academic career can improve your game, can improve your ability to like mature as an athlete. So like
exactly,
awesome.
it's all the, especially in a sport like basketball, and then later into football, just having that ability to critical think. I mean, that in a sense is learned. It's not necessarily like as a little kid you dig deep in your process.
These tangrams and Legos right now.
But yeah, I mean that's where like a sport becomes almost like you're living and breathing it. Yeah. It's more than just like, yes, I'm picking up a heavy weight and I'm doing this, or I'm running this pattern that's on a piece of paper and it's going to turn into something excellent. You can say this has something profound. This will have a big moment, blah, blah, blah. And like it's a bummer that a lot of times people are pushed through their academics and then they just don't get those moments to say like, oh, these lessons on the court do apply to school and vice versa. And they apply to, say, my relationships, whatever the heck is going on. Because we're just like, oh, well, you're good at one thing. So let's stick to that and we'll worry about the rest later.
We'll focus on that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, the school's obviously a high level education. You said the sports wasn't necessarily the focus here, but did they have did they teach you about nutrition and training? Like, did you pick any of that?
So nutrition came in when I got to college.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up going to the University of Miami. My offers, I think, came down to I had USC really late, Miami, San Diego State, and actually Harvard were interested, but it was going to be too much to go there. Yeah. And when I got to University of Miami, and my freshman year was kind of rocky. I was more concerned about me being a kid from California and being judged for not being tough enough, because typically in sports, I don't know if you guys have experienced this too, but when I was growing up playing travel basketball, when you came to the New York teams or the Southern like big tournaments and you had California across your chest, you had a target on your back, because they just assume you live in Beverly Hills and life is, excellent.
That East Coast, Beast Coast mentality.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, well, the first thing we're going to do is punch everybody in the mouth, and then we'll start to play our sport. So and I wish I had some of my old teammates here, but so on my recruiting visit, we played pickup basketball, and my first thing was like, well, I'm just going to let them know now.
Yeah.
So we're playing, and guys are setting a pick and roll, and so whatever. You set the screen, the guy's supposed to like fight over the screen, whatever. I just ran right through the guy. just let him know, like, hey, by the way, when I get here, don't mess with me. Yeah. And like to this day, I still get made fun of. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so aggressive?
We're just playing pickup, man.
Yeah, like we're just having fun. Like your parents were here. Like, why are you so aggressive? But so that's where Diet came in. I get through my freshman year. We actually get a new coaching staff. And Jim Larinaga, that was our new head coach. He had came previously from George Mason, and he was very much about the all-encompassing approach, mind, body, everything. So in his time, in my last 3 years there, we brought in massage, sports psychology, and nutrition started to become a bit of a conversation, because now you have guys that are trying to make a living out of this, and they're actually right on the steps of making this a real thing. So that was where the conversation really, really started to go about, like, okay, what we're doing, playing ACC basketball against these top teams, we have to be at our best all the time. So how are we going to do that? And that's where, luckily, my strength coach that was there at the time, his name was Jim Crumpos. He now works at University of Arizona, was very particular in how he managed us. And then our athletic trainer, Wes Brown, who actually now works for the Miami Heat, they had like the perfect camaraderie to get the message across that if we don't sleep well, which is probably the biggest challenge in college, and eat well, we won't win anything. Yeah. And so it ended up, I actually picked up the paleo diet. I was following like tail end of my junior year into my senior year was like the first time I really started to figure out, like, oh, I shouldn't just eat everything in sight.
Top ramen is a no-go.
So these salty foods are not good for me. I thought, well, that sucks.
Well, I kind of like the paleo diet because it's kind of like a natural, like, whole food diet,
Exactly.
Like you're eating vegetables, you're eating meat. I think and I might be misremembering, but do they kind of demonize fruit a little bit though?
A little bit. It's
because they're like
you're trying to do you're trying to do like
addition.
low sugar fruits.
Yeah, right.
Like I would only do like, a banana would be like damn near feel like dessert.
It's like candy.
Like blueberries, things that had strong nutritional value. But like oranges, apples, those, or at least how I was following it or how I perceived it, those types of fruits were totally out of the conversation. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how good like a sweet potato can taste when you don't eat sugar, dude? Like if you cut,
if your palate isn't desensitized,
all those like really like feel good foods, if you cut them out, dude, and you finally sink your teeth into a sweet potato, it's like candy, man.
Yeah, it's
like it's weird. Like we're not meant to eat that shit. And then when we start doing it, like you keep coming back to it, and it's hard to break that.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're eating ice cream, sweet potatoes don't taste
It's like
good.
cardboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the water doesn't taste good if you're drinking Coke all the time.
Yeah,
like,
true.
and I'm bad I'm bad on the Diet Coke because
man.
one of my favorite things to do, I usually do on Sundays, I'll cook like massive amounts of meat and I'll salt it pretty good.
Yeah.
But that salty meat is so delicious with a cold like cherry
It's
Coke
different.
Zero.
It's so much better.
It's so good.
Just set you back.
Oh, and I'm bad about it, man. I'll sit down, I'll eat I'll eat half or more of a tri-tip, but I'm also drinking like 4 cherry Cokes.
Well, I mean, even like the other day we had some apple juice. Like we went to Chipotle and grabbed an apple juice. I haven't had apple juice in like 10 years, and I took a sip and like my pupils dilated. I started like salivating. I was like, my heart rate spiked. I was like, damn, this is from fruit, but it's like a lot of sugar, man. It's like straight soda essentially.
Well, you take the fruit and then you leave all the fiber and all the vitamins. Well, I guess some of the vitamins come out, but you leave all the fiber somewhere else. And you take all this sugary water that's so delicious that makes
so
fruit
good,
worth eating and jar it up. And then you have like nitrous. Like,
exactly.
Straight jet fuel.
Oh my god.
So if you're a little fat kid on the couch thinking your apple juice is good for you, like, you better exercise. You're going to drink that apple juice.
Yeah.
Leave that Gatorade alone till you do some push-ups. Those sugary drinks will get you.
Did you have any of the staff, were they a big proponent of paleo, or is that something you picked up, kind of researched on your own?
Yeah, so that was something I kind of researched on my own. My brother, he was at a small school in Michigan. This all makes sense in a moment. He had just lost 100 pounds, which is still mind-boggling to me. So he showed up at college playing D-tackle. When I had last seen him, he was like 12. And then the next time I saw him, he was 208.
What?
And it was just a year. And I got worried that something like personal had happened. He had gone through like a tough time and he just kind of kept it quiet because my brother's a very private person. And then he's like, no, I just didn't like being big. And he's like, I understood like I wasn't going to go play in the league and I just kind of was over being big. So I just put myself on. And he was just eating cafeteria food, but he was like, I just ate the handful of things that I knew were like generally good for me and then just worked out really hard all the time. Yeah. And so he graduated and then we started living together. And that's when it was like, okay, I'm going into my senior year. We had kind of got our little thing going and it's like, okay, let's maximize for both of us because he was going into his master's program, just wanted to be in good physical shape. And he's one of my biggest supporters. So I said, hey, man, let's just do it together. So everything in the house is only for our health, basically, for the betterment of our bodies. And let's just see what happens. Like, if we don't like it, obviously we'll stop. But let's just see what happens. Because we had been doing, like, the massive croissant trays at Costco. And, like...
They make it so easy. Like, you got to buy 2. You got to get 2 things of bagels and muffins. You can't just get 1.
So that's where we were my junior year. And we're like, it was going into summer, basically going into the start of the senior year. And we just said, hey, he was so small. And I'm like, okay, I'd always been about 230. Only about 230 when I was playing basketball. And I said, let me see if I can get sub 220. Yeah. And like lean, mean sub 220. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to spend the whole summer doing that. And then we'll just, continue if we like it. And that was where the paleo diet and like I really started to ask like how do I make this down to a science, not quite to macro counting, I didn't know what that was at the time, but just like removing essentially all the things I really liked down to just like the things you need. And that was kind of where that journey started.
Your body it will tell you when you need to eat and when you don't. You don't have to have this like this super like crazy sheet of like exactly when what to eat.
9:30
right
a.m.
Like what's good for you. Like if you ask somebody, like you walk through the grocery store, they know that the vegetable section is all good for you. And the meat section,
once you start going down those aisles,
you get in the middle, you get in the freezer section, that's no good. Like you gotta eject. But like I feel like in general, most people know that. But it's just something you ignore when you get there,
Well, and then this is the conversation him and I started to have, and I feel like you guys will find value in this too, is like until you start to feel healthy, then you don't know what you're missing. Mm-hmm. Like if you're fully functioning adult all your vitals are clean and you just eat whatever you want, why do I need to change? Someone's telling me to change just because it looks cool on TV. I'm not worried about TV. I'm not on TV.
What I need muscles for.
Yeah. I'm just, I work at a desk. Who cares? And then say just for whatever reason, you have an epiphany. Hey, let me just try this. And then you start to feel better. And then you go back and have something you used to have. And it's like getting drunk. I'm like hungover from like a bad.
That apple juice fucked me up, man.
Seriously, you're just like, what? Why did I used to do this to myself? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you've broken that habit.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what I learned from it was like, yeah, I had played college basketball. I had succeeded at the highest level of high school, and everything was fine. But it was just like, to get to that 1% category, that's been the dream. And when I listen to those guys talk, and another cool thing is a lot of those guys in South, when they would come to Miami in their off season, would come train or come play pickup in our gym. So I got a chance to see, when I say everyone current, I mean everyone current. Anyone who took a vacation in Miami, decided they want some cardio that was in the NBA, came to our gym. And a lot of times I'd either have a chance to have a conversation with them, or I would just sit and kind of take notes on what the trainers and them were talking about.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, oh, so this diet thing is like, it's real. It actually like needs to be a part of my life.
That's one thing as a weightlifter, or at least if you're trying to go up a weight class, the easiest thing to justify is like, I'm going to have cereal because I need carbs. And it's like, I can get a little dirty with it. But there's something to be said about like the inflammation that comes from those kinds of foods. And it's not until you experience what it's like not having that. And then it's like, oh, now my knees hurt again because I started eating Pop-Tarts during training instead of a banana. Should probably switch it up.
You get midway through training, you're like, oh, I got indigestion.
Acid reflux during these
in your mouth.
squats.
You lay down and you're like, oh, chicken wings was a bad idea.
That's exactly basically
but like the lesson you learned in high school, you how to be a student, and then in college, you kind of nonchalantly, you mentioned you're taking notes, meeting these guys, watching them, learning from them. Dude, like that, like that's not something that everybody does. I guarantee your teammates weren't all doing that.
Unfortunately, no. I just asked the trainer one day, because he was a guy that was coming in. He seemed to be habitually working with the guys, and if the college guys were there, sometimes he'd let us hop in, but there was like set pro times, and we were actually taking summer school, and I had a couple courses. And other than that, like, you work out a little bit, got downtime. So I was like, okay, we normally play pickup at say 5:00, but at 3, the NBA guys go till 5, and then they play with us. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go over there at like 3:30 when I know they're kind of done with their warm up, and I'm just gonna watch, and I'm gonna take my notepad, like you said, and this is what I learned in school, and just jot down anything that doesn't seem normal to me. Yeah. Doesn't need to be, the drills are the drills. That was the thing I realized as I'd watch. I'm like, yeah, I do that drill. They just make 10 out of 10, and I make 6 out of 10. But I'm like, I know there's going to be something here that I'm going to learn, and that I can hopefully apply to myself. And the biggest thing I got, so I watched the workout. It was Kevin Durant and Joe Johnson. It's crazy. Two top athletes at the time. Joe, I think, was the highest paid player in the NBA. Kevin Durant, this was like peak OKC time. And actually Serge Ibaka's on the other court. So I'm like, okay, I'm watching some premium talent. Doesn't get any better than this, right? And Joe and Kevin are going shot for shot in this drill. And it was like they had to make, and the drill was super difficult that they were doing. And they're like laughing and joking. And it doesn't even seem like they're playing basketball. Like, that's how much of a flow there is. And the thing I picked up on it was their unwavering confidence in their ability. So like, if I shot, whatever, I missed 2 shots, I'm like, fuck. I keep missing. I keep missing. And all of a sudden I can't make a shot. It's the same shot I've shot for thousands, millions of times. And I'm watching these guys, and they're running around bags and pushing and this and that. Boom, hit the shot, hit the shot, hit the shot, hit the shot. And then I look up, it's been 15 minutes and no one has missed a shot. Yeah. And I mean, they got sweat dripping to the ground. The guys are bent over, the whole 9 yards. But then I'm listening to the dialogue, and it's just like, there's nothing that will happen on this court that I don't have control of, is kind of how they were talking. Like, if I want to hit a shot from here, I'm going to hit the shot from here because I'm a shooter. I shoot. That's what I do. And it was just like, I'm watching. I'm like, how do you get that confident? Like I've always felt confident in my ability. That's why I'm at the University of Miami playing ACC basketball. But I'm like, no one I play with is that confident. Mm-hmm. And like, how did they get there? And then that's when I started to dig into the mindfulness. And that was a lot what Kobe Bryant would talk about, is the meditation, the mindfulness, being in the zone, and how to channel that and how to get there pretty much at any point in time. And that was like end of my, going into my sophomore year of college. That was when I was trying to just find out, like, what does this mean? Because then I would just see, like, because then we had, like, say, Kyrie Irving came in, and then it was really cool. LeBron James, Chris Paul, Udonis Haslem, like half the Miami Heat came, and Chris Bosh came during the lockout, and all these guys are playing. And it was like the one thing I noticed every single time. It was it was loud in the room, was this confidence, this unwavering, like, I am so much better than everyone here. And it's not an arrogance. And I want to make sure to highlight that it's not an arrogance. It's just an internal confidence that what I bring to this moment is unmatched by all. And that was kind of like, okay, how do I get that in my language? And then that was like the big lesson I would say that I got out of college, was, especially for pro sports, was like, okay, I need to channel that, because no matter where I go and what I do, that applies in the job world, that applies in your sport, that applies in just your training. It's just truly believing in yourself with like zero self-doubt that I can get my job done no matter what the circumstances are at all times. Yeah. And that was like so interesting to me. And then of course, when I got to the NFL, I saw the same thing in a lot of those guys. Yeah. So that was like, again, it went back to my high school. It was like, I was trying to dig deeper than the sport, because I'm saying they're shooting a basketball in a room. It's the same thing I've done for 17 years or 16 years at this point. But they're like speaking a different language, even though it's the same one I know. And like, so how do you get there? You know? Yeah, it's just a hell of an experience.
Would you say it was more like the mindfulness came first and then the skill met it? Or was there just like relentless practice to the point where that mindfulness was so natural, because you're like, I've done this so many times that
the way I perceived it was what you just said. So when we're watching these guys and the drills that they were doing is very specific to their skill set. So it was something that they had clearly worked on for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. Kevin Durant shot very specific shots. Joe Johnson shot very specific shots. And then I went and watched during that season, and the exact drill, I mean, to the T, were the shots they were making. There was no withering. They had diagnosed however they, did their stuff, and said, okay, I'm good at these 10 things, so I'm going to master these 10 things. Right. And then that's where the mindfulness came in, where like, so these 10 weapons I got, I can do it at any time with thousands of people watching, 2 seconds on the clock. I know this is my shot. And at the time, I didn't have my shot or my quote unquote go-to that was just like my trump card. I just pull it out any time and I know I'm going to succeed. And that's what as I dug in deeper, that's what they were training, is to get to a certain level of fatigue where your mind is kind of gone, but you could still stay quiet enough that you could hit that play, make that shot. And they're, like I said, they're hitting them with bags and loud noise, music pumping, everything to just be like a sensory distraction. And then, like I said, they would go the whole dang workout and miss like 2 shots.
This overlaps so many things that we've like talked about from like the last time when we were talking to TJ, like we asked him about, how he kept like leveling up his college career. And he said like his best piece of advice would be to bet on yourself, self-confidence. And then, we were doing some talks on like the MJ documentary, and one of the things we noticed was that Rodman was like, he realized that once he got to the league that he could get rebounds and he could play defense, and then he just became a student of defense and getting boards. Like he knew like where these shots would fall when they missed. Like he knew where to be.
Yeah, based on how it was shot.
He was a master like of rebounds and defense, which is like, I think is very like an honorable, like path to work on these things that aren't glorified in the NBA, and he would just grind at it and go after those things. Rodman's such a unique guy, and he seems like kind of selfish. Like he took the hiatus to Vegas.
Yeah.
Like Jordan has to go get him out of a hotel room. Was he with Carmen Electra?
I think at the time he was in Vegas with her, and then he did WWE, and they were out there.
Yeah. She was in the hotel room, but then on the court, he's completely selfless. Like
he knows his game. He knows
very
what he's good
noble, endeavor. Going and doing the dirty work so his team can win, which is like those are very conflicting things.
100%.
What an interesting guy. And then the other one that came to mind, you talked about developing the confidence. They said Jordan's coach, after he hit that game winner his freshman year in the championship, that was when he became MJ. Instead of Michael or whatever the exact quote was. But it's almost, it takes confidence doesn't just happen. You can't be I'm going to be more confident.
Yeah, you can't just
I'm going to have confidence. You can be more confident.
That's arrogance, though, right? That's where it comes from.
But you can't just suddenly be I'm the man now. You know what I mean?
You can, but it's just not going to work.
No one's
I've seen it. I've done it, man.
You have to you have to go earn it. You have to put the work in the weight room, put the work in on the court, and develop the skill of being confident. You get stronger, you get in good shape, you work on your diet, now you're lean, six-packed up, 220, you feel light on the court, you feel better, and you play better. You're stronger than other athletes, you can play more aggressive, you're ripping balls, ripping down boards, whatever, people can't push you around. There's more confidence, you work on your shot, your game, and now, you're a better shooter, so when you get those shots, you're not scared to take them because you put the reps in. So confidence isn't just magic. You can't just magically be confident. You have to find a way to get out and go get yours, and earn it. And these guys MJ didn't just make that shot. How much work, and we all.
How many times has he made that exact shot already?
We know this guy was just crazy about it. He was driven to be the best ever, before he even got to UNC. He's I'm going to be the best player that ever played there. By the end of his freshman year, he's sinking a game winner on the biggest stage.
He's winning national champion.
Right. And so it's not magic. You're not, magically confident, and it's not something that you just have. You go and you get it. And that's something we see in you here. You're, all the pro guys, they don't come in every day. They don't do the hard workout. They don't do the conditioning twice a week, And these are things, as soon as you got here, you're here the most. You know what I mean? Which is something, we noticed that in Kiko. Kiko's been coming back a long time. He spends a lot of time here in the off season. And he's very consistent. And then you being the new guy this year, also super consistent, coming there, putting in work, getting your body better, trying to, develop yourself. So it's just it's cool to see everything you're talking about it. You're you live it too.
Try my best.
That was one of the reasons we were so excited to get you on, just because ever since I've been coming here, once I was told when the football guys come, it's really fun. And you were the first one. And you're the one I see the most often, and you're the most consistent, and just even studying some of the things you do, and how you're reaching out for help and stuff like that. I'm just man, this is I would say you're a professional above what the actual definition of that word is, because all these guys are technically pros, right? But you live this life, and it goes so much deeper than that, and it's just
it's gotta be. What I've learned is to have real success, we're all in this to win, right? That's the whole point. It's not for the journey to get a participation trophy, right? And that's what I've been trying to figure out. How do you win and win all the time? And not win in a sense where you feel you lucked out and just everything, the stars aligned, but no, definitively made it clear that this person is on this level and knows how to achieve and knows how to stomach these tough times and whatever it may be. That's where I've gotten so hungry and so process oriented. Some of it comes and, you lose a major moment and you're like, okay, well, I never want to feel this feeling again. And I know when I reflect on my journey, this piece was missing.
Mm-hmm.
So now this piece is me. This is what it's going to be, whatever it was that I needed to work on. And the process I'll say that you guys see now stems from my senior year of college. So that summer that I was talking about with my brother, the other big change I made was before I would go and just participate in the workouts with the team, a little shooting after, say half hour, that's it. And it wasn't yielding a lot of opportunity for me. Like, yes, I had this great process and was meditating, and yes, I'm in the zone, but like I said, I didn't have a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the things that I know you need to succeed at the highest level. So what also came with the diet was and this was kind of like, this felt like stars aligning. I joined like a summer league that our coaches were just like, hey, just so we can get some more play. And I met one of the most renowned coaches, high school coaches, coincidentally, in Miami high school basketball. His name is Chachi Rodriguez. And Chachi ended up being my shooting coach. So then I would wake up in the morning, go to him. So I do like an hour to 2 hours with him, then go lift with the team, then work out with the team. Then I would do my own workout, then play pickup, and then shoot after. So then I went from working out, and I got very like addictive with it.
Yeah,
it was just, you're a college kid, there's nothing else to do. Right. So let's push it to the limit. So I went from working out, let's just say a lift plus a shooting workout, to a lift like yoga, swimming, something kind of off center, and like 3 shooting workouts in a day. So it ended up being like I was basically just working out all day.
Yeah.
And in that time period, so I adopted this, okay, so whatever, low impact shooting, training, higher impact, and then compete. And then work on the things I didn't do well in competition.
Right.
And that's what I started to do all summer long. And then I carried it into the season. And that's when I realized, as the season went on and all that, like, oh, okay, these are my shots, these are my counters, and this is how I can be successful. And then my senior year ended up being my best year because I took the whole encompassing deal, and then I started to see actual results. And we started to, my junior year, we won big as a team, but I was not a major contributor.
Yeah.
We had won the regular season ACC. We were in the ACC tournament and we went to the Sweet 16. But the thing that upset me personally was I watched a lot of that. I didn't experience that. I love my teammates. I have the most, utmost passion for them. And I love the journey because I love team sports. But yeah, when I reflect on the journey, I'm like, I was cheering with the rest of them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I look back on it and said, that was my fault. That wasn't like because I just suck and everyone was better. It was like, no, they were putting in the time and I was just enjoying being a part of the ride. And that's not what I stand. That's never anything I'd ever done. And I was so upset, even, which is bittersweet because again, it was an awesome opportunity, but I was so upset with myself. I'm like, I want to contribute to a moment like this. And I just missed the ball. Yeah. Like literally.
Man, like,
like
how often does that happen though? Like it's so simple, right? Like even in weightlifting, Dave, or you coined the term that work works. Like, what's the definition of insanity, right? You're just doing the same thing and expecting something different. How often do we see weightlifters who don't change anything, who just expect themselves to get better versus doing more work, doing more things? You went from, 2 to 3 workouts to 6 in a day. Seriously. And that's what it took to kind of take that next level. Like that's all sports.
The word bittersweet, that was literally what I was going to ask him. Was it like when you had 4 years, or did you play
4 years? Yeah.
Okay. So you had 4 years that you could have been doing the 6
Yeah, you learned it in your 4th year.
Like you kicking yourself in the foot, like after you figure out this recipe, like
100%. Then that's where, halfway through, I think it was like my senior year, I'm like realizing I just missed my moment, and I'm trying to not let that impact the beauty of graduating from college and a senior season. But we get about halfway and we're kind of having tough times, and actually and that was kind of the first time I had an experience where I had to stand up for myself without family around, because they're always kind of there to make sure you're all right and do the right thing. Well, again, we have this great season. We get into senior year. I'm like, and our coach was very big on senior leadership. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be a senior leader. I love leadership. The reason I like leadership, selfishly, is because then I can't let myself go. Because if I'm the leader of the pack, that's why I even do that here. I don't know if the guys notice, but I like to lead the workouts, because if I mess up, we all mess up. Yeah. And I'd rather take that burden on than watch someone else do it, even if it's right or wrong, and just have to lean on them. So I just prefer I was that way when I got to high school. I just prefer leadership roles.
It demands accountability.
Exactly. Like, I can't let myself go. So getting into my senior year of college, I'm like, look, whether they want to or not, I'm the head man, which just means I get to set the tempo.
Right.
Not necessarily that I'm in power and, some other things that could end up being like a power trip, but just like, cool. Now I get to set the example for these young guys coming in. We had good talent coming in after such a crazy season. And we get to the first half of the year, and I'm like, again, barely playing. And I had been doing this process. And I'm like, okay, there's a piece that's missing. I was doing all of this quietly. I was training, like, if we lost a game and came home, I'd wait for everyone to leave. Like, I'm saying, we get home 2 a.m. My brother's a night owl, so he's like, hey, man, I ain't going to bed. Let's just go to the practice gym. Practice gym's always open if we had our little ID card. So I'd wait for everyone to leave, pretend like I'm going, and I'd go back to the court, and I would just shoot by myself. Like, guys would go party at midnight. I'm shooting at midnight. I thought it was so much fun. It's quiet. You play your own music, whatever. But I wasn't doing it for social media or anything. I was doing that because I really wanted to keep playing basketball.
Right.
So what happened was I had been putting in all this time, and unfortunately, the dialogue wasn't making it to the decision makers that, like, I really badly want to succeed. So, and this was the moment of a big challenge for me, was we go to Los Angeles. I've been begging the coaches, can we play in front of my family? Not everyone can make it to Florida. We go to LA, and we're there for 4 days. I play like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
4 games. I was like, nothing. And I had family. All these people would see me in high school, whatever. I thought it was going to be like this big kumbaya. And again, I'm watching the games, and I was devastated, like humiliated. We barely even want to talk to my family. I'm like, I've been in 4 years, and you guys aren't even seeing really the fruit of the labor or anything. Like, to me, it felt like kind of like my high school thing. Like, you guys invested in this journey, and you're just not seeing any results. So this was going into Christmas break. I met with my coach. I've reached out to him multiple times, and at first it was kind of taken lightly. And then I was like, look, I really need to talk to you. And this was kind of where I felt like I stepped into being more of an adult. Is I walked in his office, and I just simply asked him, I said, hey, look, I know we're having a tough season, and I got a couple people that are playing in front of me, and I just want to ask you an honest question. Why are they playing and I'm not? Mm-hmm. And what is it that I can do that can help this team get over the hump? And my coach looked me dead in my face and said, I don't know. And that was it.
You're kidding, man.
Damn.
So in the heat of the moment, I'm trying to stay contained, because obviously the whole point I'm here in this meeting is because I want to win. It has nothing to do with me, but I want to win, and winning means we all win. And when we win, good things come, right? Mm-hmm. So I took it in, my mindfulness, took a deep breath, like, don't curse. Don't be disrespectful. I would have been
so mad at that answer.
Yeah. Just, okay. And I had like a long list of things, and I just put my list down, and I said, okay, I'm going to just try and put this in plain English. I said, so if I'm your boss, and you've been habitually showing up late to work, and then I just ask you, hey, why are you late all the time? And you just looked me in my face and said, I don't know. I said, I would just fire you.
Yeah.
Just move on because there's no reason for you to be here. So you're going to need to give me a better answer than I don't know. And like, I don't talk like that to my like authoritative figures. So it was very like, oh, it was one of those moments.
You're so polite and well spoken, and it's obvious you come off like that. Like you're the most genuine person. Like it's like, but you get put in those situations, and you're like,
don't explode. Like, just don't.
Because I know you have that respect for the like men that are supposed to be like your authoritative figures, like the people that are supposed to lead you and guide you. And when like someone that's in that role just shits on you like that, it was hard. Like, man, like, it was kudos to you for like keeping it cool, man.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, it still gets my blood boiling a little bit now, honestly. But it ended up being a very positive conversation because it basically ended as, hey, look, you like just to what you said, there's people here trusting you to evaluate the guys here and give them a fair opportunity based off merit. That's what a team sport is. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm not asking for anything different than anyone else getting. Just evaluate me and let me know what I can do to affect this team in a positive way. That's all I'm asking. And that's where the conversation left. The next day, it was taken to heart. He was riding me the whole, but that was what I asked for. Want. Exactly. Because then after that, I started every single game, and I play the college games 40 minutes. I was playing 38 minutes a game, and we went from struggling to we were supposed to be bottom of the barrel. We finished 500, and then I had like in our last couple of games, I had like crucial plays for us to win, and I was like, finally, but then it's over.
Right.
And that's where it was so bittersweet because I'm like, if I would have just stood up for myself at the start, if I would have just taken the time to do this training, I would be where I'd want to be, or at least have a much better chance. And now it's over. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where the conversation of football came up because I was so like, gosh, I tried everything. Like I did everything I could. I tried to live, by the right whatevers and blah, blah, blah. And here I am. And I don't have. I gave up the good stuff. Yeah. And it was one of those like, but I know I still want to play sports.
Yeah.
I just learned probably the most valuable lesson I could learn as a now 21 going on 22-year-old. Pick it up and figure it out. So coincidentally, after the ACC tournament, we lose second round. And talking with my coaches, hey, I want to play overseas. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go overseas with this new mentality, stick up for myself. I got my training right. I'm going to make this a reality. And then on the flight home, so that we met all the seniors. It was 5 of us, and we all met, kind of talked, or 4 of us, excuse me, and we talked about what our life after college was going to be. They met as a staff, and then on the flight back, tell us, these are our thoughts. These are how we think we can help you. So we have our conversation. I'm talking to my head coach, and then he said, oh yeah, and there's this other weird thing I just thought I'd share with you now that like basketball's done. I'm like, yeah, sure. What's going on? He said, so a scout from the Denver Broncos, and this was they had just lost to the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, and they got beat down pretty bad. But still, Super Bowl, Peyton Manning's Broncos.
Yeah.
A scout's been contacting us since, and this is say March, it's been contacting us since about January, that they want to work you out and see if you have what they call football traits. And I looked him dead in the face and just burst out laughing because my football experience at the time was I tailgated.
So you're pretty.
I know of a football stadium in Miami. I know of one. I don't know if I ever actually saw anything straight, but I knew of a football stadium.
Football is.
And I'd heard of the sport, and I'd heard that my university had a long history of it. And if I went to a game, I was like thrilled that I knew who had the ball. That was about like the gist of, yeah. So in high school, they tried to get me to play my senior year of high school, I was actually playing pickup basketball with some older NBA players and Keyshawn Johnson, who at the time was big sports reporter, obviously very favored career. And he was the first person that was, we were just playing pickup, and he pulled me aside and was like, you shouldn't be out here. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? I'm like, not good enough to play? Yeah. He's like, no. Like, I'm being serious. Like, football is your game. And I'm like, cool. Like, it's nice to meet you, but no. And that was like the first time I just had like a little bit of a seed from like someone very respectable that like, maybe you should consider this sport. And then now I'm sitting here senior year after this rocky ass journey, and my coach is telling me like, oh yeah, football's looking at you. I'm like, of course football. Like, what the hell? Of course it comes now.
It's calling you again.
Yeah. Man. And I came home and told my brother. My brother's a massive football, like just sports fan. And he's just like, yeah. He's like, now it's happening. And so I reached out to the guy, and I'm like, we had a little conversation. He's the nicest dude ever. His name was Nick Shirelli. He's the nicest dude ever. And he's like, yeah, man, I can, he was in somewhere in northern Florida. He's like, yeah, I can come down and work you out, and, we'll see what happens. And I was like, give me a week. Because at the time I talked with him, it was University of Miami's pro day. And I felt that was so disrespectful if I hopped into their pro day. These guys had done everything. This was their dream. And for me to steal one rep from these guys, to me, felt like a disservice and a disrespect to not only them, but the university. So I said, I do not want to do that. Let's just pick like a random ass day. So I just said, let's just go next week. We'll just pick a day, talk to the Miami folks, and let's just figure that out.
You're the nicest dude ever. This is what kind of dude Eric is.
Like a huge opportunity like that, and you're still considering other people.
The whole
the bigger picture.
I would have never thought about that. Even as he said that, I'm like, what? I'd never just hear this story. I would have never even considered turn down an opportunity. I wouldn't have even considered these guys feelings. I know it sounds terrible, but who would? You're getting calls from the NFL to get worked out, and you're like, hey, these guys first. Dude,
it's I mean.
What a dude.
I had seen what these guys had gone through. Yeah. I had seen their highs and lows, and I understood and not that I put myself in higher regard than others, but I just understood that because I understood what I was going through. And if I had a basketball tryout with the NBA team and some football dude hopped in, I'd have been like, get him out of here. What is he doing here? And
basketball trade?
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell is basketball trade? Get out of here, bro.
So that was just where my head was. And I actually, so I'll say this, prior to the workout in the 1 week span, I tried to actually play for the University of Miami. I reached out to the coaches, and it seemed like they had already made their decision. They were going in a different direction. So they didn't really entertain me at all. So I'm like, oh, guess I'm just gonna shoot for the stars and see what happens. And so not only that conversation happens, but the biggest pillar to my development happens. So my freshman year, I meet this 6'7" redhead kid named Jimmy Graham. He was just coming off his rookie year with the New Orleans Saints. He had played basketball at Miami. He had played football at Miami, and he went third round to the Saints. And is now as big as it gets. But at the time, he was figuring it out. And he came bye week, actually, my freshman year. And I'll never forget this because I was in a boot at the time. I had a high ankle sprain, and I'm crutching across campus 90 degrees outside. He pulls up in his fancy Beamer. He pulls up on me, and I'm at the time so paranoid about boosters because Miami was under a lot of scrutiny. So, we didn't always do everything by the book, and the whole world knows this. So I'm on my crutches, and this dude comes up, rolls down the window. Hey, bro, you need a ride? Looked him dead in his face. Hell no, I don't know who you are. And he was like, you're going to regret this later. I'm like, then I'll regret it then, dog. Get out of my face. And he takes off. And then I crutch into the gym, and it's him standing there, and everyone's like, Jimmy. And everyone had told me that had been there when Jimmy was there, you're literally like his twin. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. I don't know this guy. So then I finally meet him, and he's the nicest human being ever. So then we fast forward that introduction to now we're in this week. So my athletic trainer was one of my best friends, and he was very close with Jimmy. And he said, well, don't know if it's worth it, but I know Jimmy's training because it was off season. So he's like, I'll give you his number, reach out to him. I'll let him know that you're going to reach out to him and just pick his brain, see what he thinks about switching sports, the journey, blah, blah, blah. So I'm all, ecstatic, excited. Yeah. And I call him. I'm like, hey, man, this is Eric Swoope. I don't know if you remember me. He's like, yeah, of course I remember you. What do you need? And I'm like, so this is happening. Phone goes quiet. And he's like, the first thing you need to ask yourself is why you're doing this. He said, because the first thing I'm going to let you know about switching sports is basketball's fun. Football and professional football is about how bad you actually want it. So figure out why you want to do this. And I work out at 8 a.m. I'll see you tomorrow. And it just banged it on me. And I was like, oh, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So that week, and I started just like kind of lightly meeting the guys. And it was Jimmy Graham, Jonathan Vilma, who was on the Saints Super Bowl team, DJ Williams, who's a big time athlete from De La Salle. I forgot what round he went, but very high, played very long career. Santana Moss. These are all Miami guys. Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. I mean, it was this long list of the best of football that all went to this university and they all trained together. And all of a sudden I'm in the football weight room because they're separate. And I'm like sitting here with the greats. And the coolest thing about it was they could care less because Jimmy had kind of opened up this avenue, this conversation that like basketball can switch. So that like, if you're good at play, if you're good and you show up on time, like I don't give a damn who you are. And that was the cool thing. So I meet these guys and then I go do my workout. So then I'm all pumped up. I've had 1 week's prep for my big NFL opportunity. We're going to do great. And shockingly enough, I do 14 reps to 25. I had to have the scout show me how to get in a 40 stance and on a hand clock for what it's worth. I run a 4.57.
Which is flying.
Which is not slow by any means.
This man is huge. So this is ass hauling. He's hauling all the ass running a 4.5 and this big.
Basically, everything that I had done that day, if I would have done the NFL Combine, would have made me the number one tight end coming out. So we do all this stuff, and this was kind of where the journey took like a really cool twist. Was we finished like the metrics, and then now it's time to play some football. So now we're going to throw. So then we needed to go from the track field to the football field. I didn't know Miami had its final spring practice. So the media's there. All the media that's covered me in basketball is there. So we're walking across, got the guy with the Broncos hat, and like my brother and a couple buddies with me. And the media is like, of course, the Twitter fingers, they're right to it. Oh my God, what is he doing over here? And I go out there with my buddy who was the starting quarterback at Miami, Stephen Morris, and we throw passes. And for, let's just say 30 minutes, we throw passes. I don't drop one. So I'm like, okay, I see the numbers. I've just caught all these passes. Things seem good. What do I do now? Like, where do I go from here? And my brother's great idea, and you can go on my Twitter profile now. So I made one, my very first tweet. He says, just write at the NFL, ESPN, and all that, and just tell them that you're entering your name in the draft. And let's just see if you can get just a second workout. Because let's just say Denver goes a different direction, and then this door just shuts before it even opened. Right. So I'm like, sure, why not? Let's just keep this weird scenario going. I write the tweet. Boom, like it goes crazy. And then before I know it, I think it was maybe 6 weeks prior to the draft, I mean, my phone never stopped ringing. I talked to, I think 27 teams, and then I ended up working out in front of 12 in the period of like 6 weeks. Wow. And yeah, it was just like all of a sudden, bam, you're a football player now. I like I did one like basketball workout, I think after the Broncos one, and I was just totally out, like brain's not in it. I'm like, okay, clearly I think everything is telling me, let's just try this.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward to this was how my experience started. So my birthday's on Friday. I graduate from college on Saturday. Saturday night, I undrafted signed with the Indianapolis Colts. Sunday morning, I'm in Indianapolis.
Hell of a weekend. Hell of a weekend.
That's how quick it was. Just like, bam, you're an NFL player now. I thought I was going for just like a physical and like welcome packet and fly you back. 10 weeks. Did not pack enough. Like
I got no clothes.
I got nothing. I'm in a hotel with a playbook, cleats, gloves. Here, you're gonna go out with Andrew Luck and the guys and start learning how to play football. Good luck. That was literally how, and it was just like, well, not in Miami anymore. I'm now in the Midwest, which I've never been. I had one uncle that lived in India. I'd seen him when I was in like elementary school, and now I need to figure out what all this stuff means.
But you had a lifetime of lessons that prepared you for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
If anyone could switch sports and would be intelligent enough to like pick up a playbook and learn something brand new, it's you. Like, you know what I mean?
It was a rocky road.
Yeah, I mean, it's like keeping you like, this is like, you're looking out for opportunity too. Like, like, you know, you have these little like glimpses of like football. They're just kind of popping up, you know, from that little, you know, high school, your freshman year of college, and like, you know, the Denver rings you up. It's like, like, it just keeps like, it's almost like destiny, but you're paying attention, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're trying it, and like your ability to like learn how to work at basketball in college set you up to be capable for football.
And that's exactly what I've learned now in this journey.
Right. How many basketball guys can rep 225 on the bench?
Not many.
Close to zero.
I mean, to put in perspective, I know Kevin Durant's story is they do the 185 test and he couldn't get the bar off his chest. I mean, it's not normal. And my senior year of high school, I benched 365. So it was like, I already, you know, it was like when I started to reflect on the journey, I'm like,
oh yeah.
There's
the sign. I should have been listening a little better.
Yeah, I was like, I don't really look like my teammates. They're all significantly taller than me.
I got all these muscles.
Yeah, like I'm buff. They're like lanky. That's why I was trying to lose the weight. Oh yeah, I'm like,
you had to work to lose like muscles off your body so you could look like your buddies.
Be worse.
I'm like, okay. Now I'm, and that's what happened is when I first got going, I was like, this is what I've been looking for.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, just the physical challenge, the brutal honesty that you get in football. The jobs based off merit were very in your face, and the cool learning lesson I got is they told you, you know, when you're a rookie, how to say it, be seen, not heard. Okay. That was like one of the first things I was told from some of the veterans there, because a lot of times, so in the NFL, when you first get there, you get drafted. So you would think, oh, I'm drafted, so that means something, which you quickly learn when you get to the NFL. That just means you have a higher chance of making the roster because they are a little bit more invested than these other 90 men. Right. That's really all the NFL draft is doing for. I mean, it's changing families' lives. I'm not trying to overshadow it, but when you get into that building with those men who their lives depend on this and feeding their families, it's much bigger than just college. We're having fun. I got 4 years guaranteed to do whatever. I can make mistakes and blah, blah, blah. No, you are the 1% of the 1%. Time to grow up now. Mm-hmm. The blessing was in Indianapolis, we had a large majority of guys that had been in the league 10 years, 12 years, 14 years. My close friend Adam Vinatieri has been in the league like 24 years. I mean, you had guys with a lot of miles at the professional level. And that was one of the first lessons. And I took that lesson to heart. And the cool thing that kind of paid off is I befriended all the vets my rookie year. Like, I was a man of few words for sure. But the people that I got very close with, it went back to that same thing when I was playing pickup. Is like, so how do you stay in? And now that I'm in the sport, now I can literally ask you because we're friends. Before it was in college, and I'm like trying to be respectful, but it's like, so tell me, like, how do you stay in this business for 14 years, for 10 years, for this and that? And I had my notepad.
Yeah, Eric and his notepad.
Same thing. I had my notepad. I would ask him questions, or I just started to kind of study a guy's routine. Okay, so he gets here at this time. He eats at this time. He eats these things. He does his treatments at this. He does his extra meetings at this time. He catches extra passes after he works on whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it, because I was trying to figure out, like, I need a football plan. I don't even know the sport. I don't know, like, my first game, I didn't even know game flow, like media time. Like in basketball, you have a media timeout every 4 minutes. So we say it's 10 rounds. It's 10 4-minute rounds. That's how the basketball game is played. The last round is the last 4 minutes of a basketball game. That's where you win. So I had it down to like this science of like, I need, like in high school, it was like because I think it was 40-minute games too. So it was like, I'd have to ask my dad, but it was basically if I got like 4 points and 2 rebounds, I'd end up with 20-10. If you look at my high school average, it's 21 and 8.5.
Yeah.
Like I had it down to a damn science.
So
So it was like, okay, that's what makes me feel like me. So I need to figure that out at the football level, at pro football level. I'm not going in where it's like I can have a slow start. Like they're bringing you in because you're supposed to be at your peak. So like, I need to peak now, even though I don't even know what's going on. And so that was most of my rookie year. I had no idea what was going on, but I said, okay, Reggie Wayne, and he was the guy that I got very close with. I'm just going to watch Reggie from a distance. He's the most respected person in this entire Colts organization, him and Robert Mathis, but Robert was on defense, so I was staying with the offense. So, and that's what I did. And I got very close with him, and I got very close with Andrew Luck and a handful of other guys. And that's all I did was study their process my first year. Then my second year is when I actually started to learn football. Yeah. But most of it was just that
blows my mind.
Right?
You didn't know football for the first year of your professional career. But
my first camp practice, I had to have a teammate show me how to put shoulder pads on.
Yeah, of course.
Like, can you zip me?
I'm like, do you put the arm through the strap, or it goes like, you strap it and then you put your arms down. I'm saying like, because you have chest straps that hold the whole contraption together. And I literally was trying to like put the arm through, and they're like, bro, let me help you. And I'm like, so I'm like, and then you strap it as tight as you can so someone can't like yank you sideways. I'm like, so now I can't really breathe because I put this thing on, like this shield on as tight as I can. I got the helmet with no vision, and our first drill is like 1-on-1 against our D linemen, like hit each other as hard as you physically can.
I couldn't imagine.
Oh man!
I just got a late start, not like you did, not as late, obviously, but I wasn't playing football till my sophomore year of high school. Mm-hmm. And I get in there, they give me my stack of like pads for my pants, my shoulder pads, and I'm sitting down. I got my pants, and I have no idea how to get these pads. I got a knee pad on my thigh, knee pad upside down. I'm trying to work my belt and my hip. I had an upside down hip pad. Like, dude, I was a mess. And like in athletics, it's pretty good, like camaraderie. People like they help each other out. They take care of their own. If you're on the same team, you got at least a few buddies. So I had some friends help me out, trying to figure to get my pads right. But like at the pro level, like I guess the guys know they're like, all right, this is a basketball player. We got to get this guy right, and they're just like throwing you in the line, like, all right, you got to crash into this guy. Go.
Yeah, they're like, they're like, just go be fast, and we'll figure out the rest. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, how many times was it like, all right, because for me it was like, all right, we're running west right, so you just get the ball and go to the right. And even that simple, I still mess up left or right. I'd still go the wrong side.
Oh yeah.
Was they running like, all right, Swoope, you're lining up on the right. You just gotta run to the left and just be on the left. Like what, like.
And because here's the tough thing. So when you first get there, especially as a rookie, you don't go with the starters that know what's going on and can lend you a helping hand. You're out there with the guys that know as much as you do, which is nothing. So some of the quarterbacks aren't even used to hearing a call in the headset. They're used to, you see college football, they do the signals. They got the big, cardboard deals with the signs on it. And you see the whole team look, they look and, oh, okay, that's the play we're running. So now you have a young guy that's blurting out the information so fast. Because say it was just like, I write 94 ISO. So I'm lining up on the right. That's what it tells the tight end. Right, left is the designation for for the strength of the offense. So I write the 4 means we're going to the right. The 9 just means it's a zone play. Okay. That's like bare bones. The 4, so it's kind of going.
This sounds like a different language,
right?
Like there's gonna be a lot of people here with like that little. There's gonna be like,
myself included.
So Jake's got all these numbers. Just like he's like.
So you form a giant eye,
and this is the simple stuff.
This is like the bear. I didn't even say a call that has like movement in it. This is literally like when he says it, we just line up, wait for him to say go, and we all go. And I didn't know that there was different cadences. So like, just for those who don't know football at all, when you hear it on TV, you're hearing the quarterback make all blue 20, blah, blah, all these noises. Well, there's a bunch of different ways that it's said so that the defense can't figure out what's going on. Again, my football experience was tailgating. So my first day, they're like, all right, we're on 1, which on 1 at the time was like, blue 80, say go, blue 80, say go. Let's just say it was like that. First time say go, bam, just took off. I had no idea. And then the whole staff is laughing. The guys are laughing. I line back up. I'm like, you told me
that ain't funny. I'm trying to make money.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, well, you said run left. I ran left. What's so funny? And they're like, it's on 1. I'm like, what does this mean? What is 1? Like, I went on the first thing he said. That's on 1, right? And yeah, so it was a hell of a learning experience.
Process.
Oh yeah.
What a game though, right? Like you only get to play when you're in season. Then the whole rest of the time, you just got to figure out how to get better at the game that you can't play right now.
The game that you can't play, and physically you don't really want to emulate for your own health. Yeah, you don't want to put pads on and hit human beings to like replicate. That was the biggest change is like in basketball, I could go and train situational things and it would feel just like the game. Time on the clock, play the music, I'm sweating, I got the same apparel I have on in a game. T-shirt, shorts, and shoes. And I could really get into it. So then when you got to basketball training camp, it was just learning what the emphasis of the season's going to be. With football, like I can't go shoot free throws. Like I can't go run routes for hours and hours and hours. There's an element of football, and you can ask any football player that when you get to playing football, it's like you've never worked out. Like it's the hardest thing you've ever done because to recreate the exertion, the anger, the stress of all of it, the quick cadences and all these things, the training only gets you so far, and then you just have to go and play the sport. And I've never been a part of something where like I can't recreate the stresses of it. It's such a weird, and I'm still so fascinating to me now. Like I can push myself as hard as I want and just it's just not the same. No, until I get out there and we're playing, and then I start playing for an extended period of time, then I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm good now. But what an experience it's been.
Like only snatching from the blocks.
Yeah.
The entire training.
The physical aspect is like you don't only have to know like where exactly you have to be, what exactly you have to do. And if you mess it up, you're screwing not only the 11 guys on your side of the ball, but your defensive teammates as well. So there's 22 people riding on you to do exactly what you're supposed to. But you're also at war with the 11 guys on the other side of the ball. Like not only does he have to do everything right and be exactly where you're supposed to be, you're also having to collide and win a physical battle with another man across the ball from you at the same time.
Yeah, so mentally, how do you prepare? What was different preparing for a basketball game versus preparing for a football game?
So let's just say the average basketball game, we would run offensively. We'd run anywhere between 8 to 12 plays. Like 12 plays is like, dang, we really like went in our tool bag to win this one.
Yeah.
And say defensively, same thing. Maybe we ran 4 to 5 different schematic defenses, blah, 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 blah. An average football like game week install is, let's just say, on a minimum 180 plays. Now, of the 180, let's just say about 100, 120 are ones that you have now repped through training camp, through the off-season program. So technically they are like clockwork, but they are still easy to mess up. And then you have 60 brand new things you've never heard before in your entire life, especially in the red zone. And your job is, so, and again, going back to my basketball. So in basketball, you play every 3 to 4 days. Now we're a week preparation for one shot that you, again, can't really emulate. Even in practice, you really can't emulate it because you don't hit your teammates as hard as you hit the opponent. And they have things that you don't know what they're going to do. And it's this big chess match. And it's just like in basketball, I could almost over prepare. Like I was talking to you about this long training that I was doing, all these things. Where like with football, you still need to have this element of freshness with such an exerting sport. And you don't want to be so mentally bogged down that then you can't play fast.
Right.
So it's like this weird, I always, kind of the conversation I always have is most of football is just handling stress. You have all of these things happening. They happen so fast. You got one take, it's one try. And it's got to be perfect. And then you get there, and what's the first thing that happens? Nothing goes as according to plan, right? That's like what always happens.
You can't be so focused on one route that you're blind to everything else.
You
just got to like feel it.
So it's like, know what to do, but don't be so locked in that like you can't adjust, because that's all that's happening in the game is these constant adjustments. So if you're going in, all right, the quarterback told me on the sideline, we're running blah, because I've had this happen before. We're running blah, I'm picturing the route like a basketball. I'm picturing my free throw. All right, I'm running the route. I'm going to win the route. I'm going to score, blah, blah. We get out there. You hear the quarter, you hear like the, okay, guys, new play. And then all of that mental energy just went to nothing. And then we call something, and I'm like, oh, damn, I don't even remember this play.
That's the worst feeling, dude. When you're in the huddle and you hear some shit you don't even remember. That's from 10 weeks ago. Yeah. You don't even know what's about to happen.
Be fast.
Yeah, and
I'm
you're
just
just
crash
like,
into this dude. Like, I don't even know.
I have a general idea that it looks something like this. Okay, go. And you're just like, getting your stance, and I'm like, 70,000 people, you can't even hear anybody. Oh god, bam, the ball's gone, and shit, what was the play? Like that's like that's literally like compared to basketball, where like if I call two has been two for the end of, for the beginning of time. It will always be two. It's always ran the same exact way. Yeah, nothing is changing. We're good. Like, and if something changes, just shoot the ball. Who cares? Like,
ball, take your shot.
Yeah, we'll just live to fight another day. Like, it's so strategic and so specific. And like I said, there's this element because again, okay, I ran this said play to said defense 10 times over the course of the week. So a normal practice week. If you win, you don't come in Monday, but let's just say Monday you come in, just kind of get the body right. That might be your big lift of the week, your lower body lift, kind of get your body right. Tuesday is the NFL off day. That's where they hire and fire people. That's first, if you're
Super
on the
Tuesday.
Yeah. So Tuesday is a stressful day for half the team. So then your hard training days, Wednesday and Thursday, Friday's always Fast Friday. Or at least in the buildings that I was in, that was the thing. Saturday, you have a walkthrough, and then Saturday afternoon is travel day, or go to the hotel day, whatever. And then you play on Sunday. So that's an average week, right? So then, where was I going with this? So then going into your prep, and you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you've ran this play, and the coaches have told you this is the one that's going to whatever succeed on this one of 10 drives. And you've seen this defense because statistics say that this is the defense. And then you line up, you get in the game, and everyone's in different places.
New defense.
And like when you play in practice, not always, but in most cases, everyone's in fixed positions. Like, okay, I know Wes is to my right. I know Jake's to my left. You get in the game and the guys are walking around on purpose because that's what they're taught to do. So you can't get a key on who's going where and who's doing what. And being a novice football player, I know, like, my call to Wes is a triple and my call to you is a C. So they're walking around and I'm just like, triple, C, triple, G. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And the guy next to me's like, shut the fuck up. It's so much of that. Just like, chill out. They're going to line up when it's time to go. You've seen enough looks. Trust what you see and execute. And just like, the amount of time it took for that conversation to actually make it to the game field is why I'm like, oh man, it would have been nice if I would have played my whole life.
You got to be comfortable to play the game because it is a game. It's as raw and like each play is as raw and free and flows as like as much as any sport.
Yeah.
But it's also as scripted as you said a chess match. Like like even like the first. What, like 3 or 4 drives are scripted in a game on offense?
Yeah,
like a plan.
Yeah, like I've been part of teams where it may be and they just didn't tell us, and then I've been a part of teams where like the first 20 plays are we run in these 20 unless something just goes horribly wrong. Bam, you know the first 20 plays, so you can literally like see the lineup on the sideline, and everyone on the sideline is like, oh yeah, so this is blah blah blah.
But depending on how the defense reacts. You're gonna run that play 20 different ways.
Exactly,
your
like
job changes 20. Like it
well,
can
yeah.
be anything.
Well, it's like not that you know I've never been to war, but it's just like you go out and then you report. So it's like you go out. Oh man, they're doing this, and like the guys come in, they're sweating and they're bleeding, and they're like, oh man, so they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing this. The guys on the radio, okay, guys, we got this, da 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 da, we gotta get it done. We got 2 minutes to get this relayed up to the booth, back to the booth, to the coordinators, to the coaches, to the players. Make sure it's good. Okay, we're running that, and then we get out there, and what's the first thing that happens? They don't do what we talked about.
I mean, just listening to you talk about some stuff is like every dry fire exercise I've ever done. It's like you do a glass house or just like some tape on the ground. And it's to practice clearing a house.
Okay.
When the war was mostly mobile operations, urban terrain, people in buildings, stuff like that. And that's when you actually like you do the same route with the same 4 guys every single time, and it becomes clockwork. You become really good how you're going to pie this window and everything. And then once you actually do the exercise with some Op4 or some real people in the building, it's like, you get it. We have blades, obviously, but you start shooting and you just, So anyways, it started blasting. It's just like every
Jake, you killed 4 civilians in this exercise.
Dude, it's couldn't be more like it. It's like, and that's where when I first started to play, it was like, come back and report to us all these things you found out. I'm like, I just ran the play.
Yeah,
your list is
my ankle kind of hurts.
Yeah, like my back's a little sore. He kind of hit me in the. He kind of poked me in the eye, and like they're like, no, like what coverage, what lead, what was he talking about? What was they talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. I was trying not to forget the play. Yeah.
You know who plays like completely like free of all worry and doesn't even have to think? Kiko.
Oh,
Kiko,
that boy is just playing ball. Like Dave's even said that he doesn't really do good in like a super like high structured system because he's such a reactionary game player. But he's played his whole life. Like this boy is football like through and through, and he just loves it, reacts and like plays his game, and that's like he's just playing the game, and that's where you want to be to like be probably the best you can be. Like you got to be
100%.
You got to get there where like you can hear this play. You already like if you've run through, you know it so like inside and out. You've been doing this game forever, and now you can just like be Kiko, like just run through this, like just play it how you want. And he he'll like we were watching some like I think it was on him mic'd up, and he was like, that was a mistake. I wasn't supposed to be there. Like, all the shit he messed up.
That's amazing.
I mean, and just when you meet him, like you can tell, like that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah,
but,
he beats to his own drum. I mean, I haven't played against him. Unfortunately, the last time when I was with the Colts and we played the Dolphins when he was there, I was hurt at the time, but it was just so funny trying to prepare for Kiko. Because it's like, okay, the defense does this. Kiko does this. So they were put someone in his jersey. And like, because we used to do it with Troy Polamalu too. So we put like jersey and like hair on, like on top of the, like, it was so funny. Or we put like something and we would just tell that guy like, you go play football. Everyone else, you're in such and such. Yeah. And that's literally how you try and prepare for a guy like him. Because I mean, yeah, every time we played him, it's like, we just don't know what he's going to do. Like, he's going to do something that's going to just change everything. And not only that, it's going to be like really violent. Yeah. Like it's going to be
Leroy Jenkins' way.
Didn't he knock out one of your buddies?
So, okay.
It could have been you.
Yeah. So what we had happen, he concussed our running back. No. He concussed one of our linemen. And he ruptured my buddy's kidney.
Oh, shit.
It was like, when I say he was on a different level, it was like he was playing in fast forward and we were all in play. Like, I'll never forget it because I was my buddy, because I think he knew Kiko. And we had like it was a running play going to the left. So our running back's kind of running toward the Dolphins sideline. And he's trying to get the edge or the end of where the offense and defense is so he can start to run toward the opposite end zone in an attempt to score. So he's coming around the edge, and we're on the sideline like, oh, yeah, go. His name's Marlon. Go, Marlon, go, Marlon. Boom. You just don't even see it. You just hear it. And then he gets up on the sideline. Everyone's like, yeah. And then Marlon comes back to the sideline. He's like, woo! Didn't even see him. He was like, I knew he was coming. I heard the feet. But man, and then, dude, I mean, not even 5 plays later, he's in the tent. He's in the checking it for concussion protocol. And he's got his helmet off. He's like, yeah, he got me. I'm out this game. And it was like, I swear, like, it was one other guy and then my close buddy, another tight end. Yeah, he was running like one of our basic routes. Catches the ball, kind of tries to make a play upfield, and the big thing that defensive guys do. So I'll say when you get to the NFL, there's certain statistics that you want in order to hit your contract bonuses. So a lot of things for defense are interception and forced fumbles. So a lot of guys you would think are just out there trying to just saw through you, knock you to the ground, beat you up, talk trash. Then there's these handful of guys that are truly special at just getting the ball out of your hands. You'll hear the term like, oh, that guy's a ball hawk. Like if you watch enough football games, you'll hear that term. So what guys do is they pretend like they're going to tackle you and they stand you up so that other people can hit you. It's literally like just getting jumped for like 2 seconds. So my buddy, and I felt so bad because he came to the sideline and knew he shouldn't have done what he did. But in the middle of the field, you do not throw a stiff arm or put your arm out and try and toss somebody. There's too much going on. Cover the ball, get down. That's what we're always taught. Unfortunately, he made a quick play, kind of shrugged someone off, lost sense of where he was on the field, threw a stiff arm to the outside, kind of toward the sideline, was not looking in the middle, and Kiko just came max speed. And I mean, it was the loudest, just like car wreck of a hit right to the kidney. And yeah, later that day, like after the game, my buddy's just gray in the face. I'm like, dude, you okay? He's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm in a lot of pain. He ended up having to get helicoptered to the hospital, and yeah, he had a ruptured kidney. It was bad.
The thing about Kiko is he's not a mean person.
Well, and that's what caught me off guard.
Dude in the world. Yet he's an animal.
And I thought, because everyone like Joe, you guys, Dave had told me like, oh, Kiko, just wait till you meet Kiko. Yeah. So I'm thinking like, oh, I'm about to meet an asshole. Yeah. And no, he's just like the most.
Puts on like funk music.
Yeah.
When he's working out and it's just grooving and like.
And just a nice, guy. Like so holistic cool. Thinking, broad, spiritual. Yeah. Like, and I told him this face. I'm like, you're just not what I expected. Like, you could be further from the guy I thought I was going to be meeting. That like almost murdered my teammate. Like, you're such a nice dude. I'm like, you're strange, but I like you. It's just annoying because you literally hurt my friend.
I want to hate you.
I want to hate you, but you're such a nice guy.
That's the thing, like he got a lot of heat for his shot on Joe Flacco.
Oh yeah,
but Kiko was just playing football. He would never. If you know Kiko, you know he'd never hurt nobody. He wouldn't try to hurt your tight end buddy. You know? But he loves football and he plays it at 110%. Yeah. And if you don't love it as much as Kiko, you're gonna be a victim.
Yeah. You're either the nail or the hammer. And a lot of times, guys, the nail. Yeah.
Kiko stays hammered, man. Jeez. All right. Well, do you have so like your training obviously had to change. So you're training for football. What's kind of your regimen now? Like if you were gonna tell somebody, like help somebody out right now. Like,
So right now where we're at, of course, the big change from basketball to football was more loading, right? So basketball, we actually pushed it, I'd say, at my university, probably a lot harder.
Which is unique.
Yeah, it was very rare. Like, so Coach Larinaga's big thing was he wanted the team's bench press average to be above 250. His Final Four team, that was their 1 rep max as a team was above 250, and they succeeded. So then that was the big thing. Oh, we're going to push. So we actually lifted, again, that ain't much.
Right.
But for a basketball team and some guys that are sub 200 pounds and never lifted in their life, really, it was like a big, everyone all of a sudden had little cuts and, and so I, being the kind of like addicted to training person that I am, I'm like, oh, then I'm going to be the strongest on the team. That's just a guarantee. So that's where I got my bench press up to 365, blah, 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 blah. So then you transition to football where basketball is like soccer, where you run all day, you train all day, and you lift occasionally, as opposed to football, you lift all the time. You lift heavy, short reps, and then you go on the field. And as opposed to this long, say, 3/4 sprint, it's how fast can you run for like 3 seconds, and then you have 40 seconds to catch your breath again, and it's another max effort sprint. And when I first switched over, I didn't understand how to sprint, honestly. That's one of the biggest things I've learned here at Cal Strength is I didn't have the muscles I needed necessary to be able to generate that type of force production or the core stability, the hip stability, all those things. So the blessing of being here, and I'll just say my training has had like hints of what we have here at Cal Strength, but this has been like what feels
comprehensive.
Like
put it all together.
I was lifting very heavy in Miami, power cleaning and Olympic lifting, but I didn't have the training that you guys have from Dave, the guru, the breaking it down to a science. I mean, I felt like when I first got here, I didn't even get to 70 key. Like I was just lifting the bar for like, I felt like weeks before he actually like, I ever even got to 200 pounds, let's say. And so now my training, very much Olympic lifting, is in some ways the base of my strength output, my force production that translates to the field. And then the accessory work that we do here is to complement that. And then we get on the field. So I lift lower body twice a week, Mondays and Fridays, upper Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Wednesday I just do conditioning or yoga, something to just nurture my body. Lately it's been more actually route running because I'm just trying to get into a off-season training type of mindset. So yeah, now I run 5 days a week and I lift 4 days a week and take the weekends off. It's my time. I don't really try and do much over the weekend other than just eat well, hydrate well. And that's been pretty much the journey for some time now. Now, like I said, the big change between California Strength and say other places that I've been, and no disrespect, they take it down to the, you can almost say, brutal science. Dave is a very honest person and I respect him for it. I know you guys too. That's why you guys are here. You don't get away with things in this building. It's here to train a specific way and to train right. And then it's our job as the athletes to take that training and apply it on a consistent basis. So the joy that I've had in training here and picking up this style of regiment is you guys, honestly, because I had never done Olympic lifting, like real Olympic lifting. And when I got here, I was very overwhelmed seeing you guys lift because I'm like, I had a knee surgery in 2017. So, when you get knee surgery, you mess up something in the lower limb, what's the first thing they tell you not to do? Stop squatting.
Yeah.
Don't Olympic lift.
Those doctors, you'll never lift weights.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What
like
they usually say.
Just remove
You'll be lucky to
anything.
walk.
Yeah. Like you'll be lucky if you ever can cut or squat or anything, walk up steps. So just cut it all out, make it real rehab oriented. And I took that to heart because I had never had surgery before. So I'm like, I broke my nose, but that surgery is like plastic surgery basically. So this is my first time recovering. And so when I got here, all of that training that I had done at the start that was making me effective, I had been told it was a bad idea. So then in my mind, I'm literally injuring myself if I pick up these habits. And then I come here and I tell Dave, okay, I got the knee I'm working on, blah, blah. And the first thing he says, all right, grab the bar, we're going to start power clean. And my face flushed and I getting like literally
Scary.
like shaky nervous because I'm like, oh man, I'd reached out to some of my colleagues in the NFL and they had just sworn by Cal Strength. So I heard about this place from Robert Turbin, who I think you guys have met, running back. He's with the Seahawks now. And then I have a close relationship with Andrew Luck. He reached out to Zach Ertz. Yeah. Zach told him, hey, come to Cal Strength. I know Zach's a household name here. So I'm coming here like, okay. And then I had heard Austin Hooper was here and I'm hearing all these names. I walk in, I see the jerseys. I see you got the play, all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, they have success here. Like that definitely makes me feel confident. A lot of people have trusted in this gym. And then, that's the first thing I'm told is like, well, you're going to power clean. I'm like, oh, shit. This could be.
Blow my shit out.
Yeah,
I've never
I'm
played
about
ball
to just,
again. I've never walked.
Oh, yeah. Like I hadn't front squatted in like forever. And then back squatted in like 3 years. And then all that stuff. And at least 3 years. Or I'd say 2 to 3 years. And I mean, it's been the best thing that I could have ever asked for. And the first thing I did when I got here was, and I know you guys don't know this, but it goes back to the same thing. I studied you guys. Like I would study you guys in training here, and then I would go home and watch your guys' Instagram stories and your Instagram videos and just try and figure out like how to Olympic lift effectively, consistently. Because the thing I noticed, you guys come in here, you lift these insane weights multiple times a day, and I've never seen you guys pull up for injury. And I thought that was like, especially coming from a surgery where in my mind, I'll never be the same again. And hearing this person who everyone trusts and like, and he's telling me like, yeah, you'll be right where you left off. Like, you'll be fine. You just need to do these things. Yeah. So I'm like, how do I get there? It goes to the same thing. So I'm not kidding when I literally say I'd sit at my house with my fiance and just watch your guys' videos, watch what you guys, not the snatches. I mean, even though I know I'm not snatching, I just wanted to figure out like, how the hell are you guys lifting so much all the time? Like it's not like you guys come in here and just like, we're going to cut it in half today. Like, no, a training day is a training day. And that's actually how I learned, was just studying you guys. And then after a while, then I was like, oh, okay, I can do this weight, I can do that weight. And then now I have like a comfortable base. And the coolest thing that's been, so I've been here, I started training here middle end of July of last year. And when I got here, like I said, I couldn't do all those things. And I haven't had knee pain in months. I haven't had anything that would inhibit my body from competing at the highest level. I've had nothing that's even like crept up in my mind in so many months that like, it was like after basically once I got the patterning down, it was like the pain went away. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm finding out that what I've been told is not correct. Right.
Yeah,
and then
exactly. Your body learns like, so you have to teach your body how to move explosively, how to drive, like what muscles to use, how to fire them. And if you just give all that up because you hurt something, your body's going to forget. It's going to turn that shit off, and it's not going to let you use it because it's safer to just kill it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and that was my time out in the field with Joe Marr. We're out there, and so when I first started here, when we started lifting, I'm like, I need a condition. I mean, a football player, I'm not a lifter. Just being sarcastic, and they're like, well, you're not strong enough to run yet. And I'm like, what the hell you mean I'm not strong enough to run? I was running before I got here. Yeah. And then we got out there and we did some just bare bones of like the mechanics of how to sprint properly and effectively. And I mean, I'm getting back spasms and everything. My hips locking, my psoas is tight, my feet hurt. We're just marching. I'm like, why is this so hard? And that's what I learned, exactly what you're talking about, is your body likes to follow the path of least resistance. So, and that's what that's the point of our training, is to show the brain, to tell the body, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Stop fighting me on it. Mm-hmm. And then there is days where you genuinely need to lay off. Right. But in most cases, you can break that barrier by just pushing through the training and trusting the training. And that's what my journey here has been. And that's what my regimen is now. And now, I mean, if anyone asks me, oh, where are you training? What do you do? I'm like, I got the best place. If you are willing to push your body to the brink, come to Northern California.
Yeah. Man, that's
such
so
a
cool.
testament just to like, I mean, I feel like you're, at heart, you're still willing to be a student. You know, you get your notepad out, you're willing to learn things, you're willing to listen to someone and take that shot, because, you know, you have a doctor telling you should never squat again, and Dave's saying that's the first thing you need to do. That takes a certain level of, you know, trust, but also just in being able to learn something and reason, and be logically like, okay, well, it's just 45 pounds. Let me try it. Yeah. And you go from there, and you can teach yourself these things. And I think that's a huge testament to your success, is just having that mentality. You could go into weightlifting. Honestly, I really joke about it, but you could give Lasha a run for
that man. A couple of his videos, like, ugh.
It's hard to like be in a position like you get a surgery and you get this rehab, and then this really smart, well-educated person, it's like, hey, don't stay off the weights. Mm-hmm. Don't be touching the weights. Don't lift anything heavy. You can't do it. It's bad for your knee. And you're like, okay, well, I got to trust this guy. He's been in school, you know, until he was 30 plus. Yeah. Like, he knows his shit. Yeah. But then what you actually realize is that this guy's never worked out a day in his life. And the fact that, like, most doctors they won't understand that if you do something, you get better at it. Yeah. So like, even like post-op, you maybe can only squat 45 pounds, and maybe you can't go all the way down. But if you do that for a month, now you can maybe you're at 65 pounds, but you're going to a full range of motion. Yeah. So you've already improved your situation. And then you can improve from that situation. You will continue to improve if you continue to work on it. So like this, like, cookie cutter idea that your rehab has to be like what they say it is, and your situation is what they say it is. It's not. Like, no. Like, I had this older, the middle-aged lady, you know, just a normal lady that was passionate about weightlifting, and she had a really old, like, she tore her shoulder up pretty bad. Okay. Right. So she finally had to get her surgery. Gets her surgery. And then, you know, it's supposed to be like a year-long recovery process, and you're back to normal. Okay. And she's going to PT, and she's like, I'm bored at PT. Like, the things we're doing are so easy. I'm doing all my homework. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get online, because all basically 90% of PT, they have a spreadsheet made out. Yeah. And you just follow the same regimen as everyone else. 1 through 2, you're doing this. No matter if you're a super freak athlete like yourself, like just a gift from God, like, humbly, like, you know, a very special person. Like, your knee rehab is gonna be the same as, you know, somebody that's never exercised or played a sport. They're gonna follow the same protocol, and they're gonna play it safe. And realistically, you're gonna be ready before, you know, a normal person was. And my client, she was ready at 6 months to be as good as she ever had been at weightlifting. She was already back. And it was just because, like, here's your protocol. This is what they're going to do. Make sure that you're completely comfortable and strong and capable at one before you move to the next.
Yeah.
She crushed her sheet. We like stayed working out. We were very like careful and safe and thoughtful about it. But we did some things that we weren't allowed to do. You know what I mean? Like things that we were told not to do. Like we're moving through like snatch stuff, doing a little bit of strength work. She's pulling a sled, like whatever. We're just being safe and careful and thoughtful about it. And her recovery was super fast, and she's better before, 6 months before she ever should have been.
So that's excellent, man.
It's awesome. But that's the thing. Like it's just a shame that, you get that kind of information that you can't weightlift, and that impedes you from having and furthering a career. Like
Definitely.
if you never make it somewhere where they're like, dude, we can fix you and you can be strong and powerful again. Like, you're not gonna be, because you trust in this guy.
Yeah.
And that's not on you, because you tend to trust the people that are in these positions, and you're supposed to, and you should be able to, but you just have to like understand that, a doctor they've not probably been in a gym. Most of them haven't even been in a gym.
Time to.
They've been studying.
Exactly.
They've been in the books, bro. They don't necessarily know. And if you haven't experienced like that, like 0 to like improvement, then you don't understand.
Yeah.
But what they'd realize is that the body is as like malleable as a brain. Like as much as you can like teach your brain to like do and learn and remember, you can teach your body to be like strong and capable
100%.
and improve it. And it's just like, it's really cool that you were able to find this place and that you're now like comfortable like with being strong. Like you're comfortable like trying to like further your position, and you're feeling better, you're feeling good, and that's just that's super. This is awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's where you learn PT is designed to get you back to activities of daily living, just being a functional adult.
Exactly.
Not being a professional athlete.
Right. No.
There's like you said, there's the phase that like, yes, now I can walk up the steps, or I can grab something off the top shelf. But there's also this like large amount of other things that I'm really trying to tap into.
Yep.
And I'm being told it's a bad idea. Well, like, life is taking risks. So I understand I'm running a risk. But like you said, you look at this lab coat and you say, okay.
Yeah, you got glasses and a lab coat on. You're smarter than me. I got to listen to you.
Millions of people. You clearly know better than I, because I got WebMD, and that's that's my degree.
Lupus.
You know what's more dangerous though than doing squats and cleans is not doing them and playing your game, dude.
Yeah.
Going out on the football field weak,
that's the story of my last season playing.
Exponentially more dangerous. And so like your last season, there was a physical.
Okay, so the last season I played was 2018 with the Colts, and it had its highs and lows.
Yeah.
One of the major things being is my leg wasn't up to par.
Right.
I was battling some swelling from the recovery, and then because of that, again, this is a job based off merit. If I'm not, they always say the biggest thing you can have in football is availability. Just are you healthy, willing, and able to play the sport, and then obviously know what you're doing. And I just had times where I physically don't feel strong enough. I'd never been, up until this point, I had never been out in a game situation and thought to myself, ooh, I hope I make it downfield. Like, that's a crazy thought.
Yeah.
Like, imagine going to a lift and you're literally like, I'm saying just a bar, and you're like, I hope I'm okay. I hope the bar leaves the ground.
Career before coming here, actually.
What, was it really?
Like, I'm gonna clean this, and my patella tendon's going to explode. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it was the same for my leg. It's just like, all right, I'm gonna sprint. And
help me, God, don't blow it up.
Yeah, please.
No sniper.
Yeah, please, no. Please, let's just hope nothing else happens. To now, I'm here, and yeah, it's the last thing I think about. I'm like
confident.
Yeah, let's go. Let's run all day. Let's lift heavy. Let's whatever. I still have my process because that's who I am. But that fear was playing into all of these other stresses that we've already talked about that I've kind of shared with you guys that goes on in the building, and one of the other stresses I didn't really allude to is when you aren't a contract set investment with a NFL franchise, you are expendable. As expendable as it gets. And those Tuesdays are scary. And I used to have like the Colts app on my phone and it goes, roster update for the Colts, because they have to submit them by 4 p.m. And I had to get it off my phone because it was literally to the point like,
so stressful.
Oh, it's sickening. I mean, and on top, these are people that you've personally met, got to know, and then their life's just changed. Even if it's minute, it's still changing. And that's a stress.
It's your friends. It's not just you.
Yeah.
Too.
So I had kind of gotten to a point where that wasn't a concern anymore. I'd had some success. And now I got this knee and I'm like kind of feeling okay. And then that season, it would be like, play the game, I get cut, I get brought back, then I play, then I get cut, then I get brought back, then I play. And it was like that the majority of the year. Luckily, I actually had one of my better seasons. I feel very fortunate for those in the building who trusted in me, especially on the offense, to give me opportunities despite what was going on kind of off the field. But yeah, it was like this constant fear where like I did feel very good about my positioning with the team, and I understand that until this gets better, that's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like this feeling that like I'm a staple in the franchise and they are invested in my future. When I took myself out of it, which is the hardest thing to do, and say like, what if I'm the GM and I'm looking at this as one of my players? And then I'm like, well, it makes sense. I mean, it's a business, and you're essentially like a stock. You're either going up or going down. If you're going down, I'm going to sell you so I don't lose out on a potential other investment. And so I'm like, I need to get my stock back up.
Yeah.
Literally, I need to get better so that when they look at me on the tape, they say, that's our guy. And that's where it was very bittersweet up and down. And then 2019, they basically told me, look, unfortunately, until you get healthy, you're not going to be a part of this franchise. Thank you for the opportunity. I was there for 5 years, which I did not realize was such a big deal. And so, again, being in the building, seeing all the hiring and firing, the fact that all of the draft picks of my class were gone before I left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's crazy. So that's why I'm like, wow, this is how cool. So that's why even I look at today, if I never play another down of football, I still feel extremely fortunate for all of the things that I've experienced because I can pass down this information to young folks. But I also understood that to get back to that level of trust, I have to get healthy. And that's where a conversation I used to have a lot with some of my teammates is like the transition from college to pro is it went from we believe in you to you need to believe in yourself because now it is your business. Your business is your body. So if you don't invest, like TJ was saying, then that's it. Yeah. No one else is pulling for you anymore. Right. Like that aspect of things gone. It's out the window. Now you are an entity. You're trying to earn your keep. They're not giving you keep. And that's what's been the big thing here and why I've been so committed being here is because I finally feel like my pains are gone, my aches, my whatevers. And now I know when I get in front of another franchise, whenever that moment comes, they're going to be surprised because teams have not seen me healthy in now some time. And I went through that rocky road. And what happened is I got waived toward the end of the Colts season and the Saints picked me up. And I was just struggling. Yeah. But I was just like, hey, new opportunity, going from Andrew Luck to Drew Brees, like what could be better? They had won like, I don't know, however many games in a row. Like, wow. And then I had the big humbling thing. Yeah, they looked at my knee and I'm like, dude, your knee is in bad shape. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I've been playing through it. Yeah. I've been getting my knee drained and all. I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, no, we're like, you don't get it. Like, you can't be here. You're not healthy enough. And that's when I was like, oh shit.
They don't want you to blow your knee up on their dime because then they owe you until you're fixed.
Exactly.
You're a Lambo with a donut.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect way of putting it. Yeah.
You can only go 55. It's just gonna blow up.
Yeah. And so then what happened? Let's just say we fast forward to after the year, and I started to resume some of my training. I could run at like 90%, but if I wanted to go 95 or say 100, it was like something mechanically would be off. And what I learned was it was my lack of strength. So like anytime I try and hit it, so I got signed by the Oakland Raiders, and I went out there and I was feeling better, and he was doing better, significantly better, but I still wasn't quite strong enough. And I thought, oh, I just need to lose weight. Everyone told me if you take pounds of pressure off, that like yields health.
It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic. Yeah, which like
it did weightlifting. You go up and you get health.
And so I show up there, and I've been playing at like the low 250s. I show up there, I'm 239, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Let's do it. Of course, the first thing I find out, I can't hit anybody. I don't have enough power to be definitive in my position. My position does require blocking and pass protecting, and you need to have strength. And then I would go out and run my routes, and that's what I had been quoted as a route running tight end. But I'm like, I'm running as fast as I can. And I'm like, why is everyone? Normally I just run past everyone. I'm like, why is he still in front of me? Like, this sucks. It's like really hard to get open. And I'm like, we're not, like, I know this is a route I win all the time. I ended up getting cut early in training camp, and I came back here. Like, I trained a little bit here, fun, foundational stuff. I got cut, and it ended up being the biggest blessing, because since then I've been here every day diagnosing how to fix me. And I didn't realize how much work I had actually needed, because I had gone that long without real strength training. Yeah. And now I'm back to the point where I said I throw caution to the wind, do whatever the hell I want. And I know, like, I'm not going to swell or have all this pain or all these inhibiting factors. And then now it's just about maintenance. And that's what all of our training is, right? You max out. Your body responds in said ways. You fix them, and then you try and see if you can go 1% past that. And you just keep doing that, and you look up, and you're like, yeah, all of a sudden I'm freaking beast, and crazy strong.
I remember we were on the field, I think it was last week, and I was just talking to you, like, what are some of the things you think about when you're running? And you're just saying, like, I've never had the core running. I've never known how to brace. No. And so it's exciting thinking about, when you felt your best when you were in the league, you were probably only at 80% of what you're capable of.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, yeah, the next opportunity you get, we're going to see this, like, whole new athlete. Like, you've learned all these things. You're a little closer to that 100. Like,
yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
I've been excited for a while. Yeah. I mean, obviously the virus and everything's kind of slowed things down. But, yeah, that's been a big conversation, I'd say, in my household. Is just, like, my fiance asked me, because she saw me, like, we met when I was rehabbing, like, literally right post-surgery. We started to kind of date and hang out, and so she's seen me, which I feel bad, because I'm like, you didn't get to see, like, when I was, like, I swear I'm good. Like, I'm actually good. I swear I'm good. Like, I could show you YouTube videos, but that's, like, I swear I can actually do this. I can run fast. I'm strong. Like, just give me some time. So it's cool, because now she's kind of seen me come full circle. And now she says, how you feel? I'm like, I feel like fucking fantastic. And it's just like such a better conversation than, how's your knee doing?
Yeah.
You think you're going to make it this week? How much are they draining you or whatever? To now it's just like,
what's your pain level?
Yeah, exactly.
Pain level.
Yeah. We're like, those conversations have been gone for so long now that now we can almost like joke, like, man, you remember when I was using the Game Ready and the knee sleeves and the this is and that, trying to drain fluid and blah, blah. And like, now I just come home, eat healthy and sleep 8 hours and wake up and I'm like ready to piss excellence. Like,
it's crazy that was just a product of weakness. And you like, then
that's usually the last thing you think.
It was such a simple like recipe to like get back on top, and you're around all these like these super high level professionals that should be able to give you this recipe, and you're just going hungry, trying to like you spin your wheels. You're like, I know what I can't do. I know I can't get in the gym right now and work on this sucker, but I gotta run as fast as I can on the field. When you think about that, just like now looking back, like it doesn't even make sense that a doctor would be like, hey, you can't lift weights or exercise your knee, but it's okay if you go out to the football field and run as fast as you can and crash your body into shit. You know what I mean? Like it's so
stop on a dime.
It's so
like,
stupid. It's literally it's ignorant. Like that's just so dumb.
You
to
can't
like
do the one thing that has gotten you to actually get better.
Yeah.
Is what a doctor says.
Yeah. And that's where, again, it's been such a blessing. And then to kind of go through the physical bouts of like, you know, you get a big body response when if say you took 6 months off of squatting, I took 2 years off of squatting, and then like my first couple squats, and then got a little bit stronger, and I got on the field, and it was like I had jet fuel all of a sudden. It was like, whoa, like I have no self-control.
Like you jam, you hold R, you get your shoes light up.
Yeah. That's literally like the last, I mean, it's felt like that for a while now, but at first, yeah, it was like, okay, now I've like tapped into something that I've needed. Now I need to figure out how to like control it and use it when necessary, and then use it in the right times. And that's been like the fun of the training now, is trying to figure out like, okay, we're back to status quo. Now, let's not only, because that's always been my big thing, is the reason why I felt so confident in switching sports. So we'll rewind a little bit to my rookie year. So one of the ways I learned was watching Reggie Wayne, taking my notes. And then I asked Jimmy Graham, like, hey man, like how did you get your mojo? And he was like, yeah, one easy thing to do is just watch out the tight ends. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. You know, because it's just at the time it's so overwhelming. So it's like the last thing I thought was like watch someone else who's just not running our offense. Yeah, like
from
just
a seat.
yeah, just like go watch games, like go watch tape. So what I did is I like went through all like on Madden and looked like top tight ends. Okay, these names. And I took like 10 guys and I just asked like our video guys, hey, let me get every single time they were targeted, whether they caught it or not, just every single time the ball has been thrown to them, as far back as you can go till now, because I'll just watch this. And that's what I did, is I had like Antonio Gates, Jimmy Graham, Travis Kelce, Gronk, all these cats. And I just had this huge file, and it would be like their 2017 catches. And, you know, these guys get targeted hundreds and hundreds of times. So I would just, and I took my time, because I did over the whole year, and I would just watch like for the first 5 minutes and then work to 5 to 10 and then 10 to 15 and just figure out like how these guys get successful. And that's been like, that was like earth shattering. Yeah. Just seeing, because every guy's different. And that's where I actually got my confidence into the sport, because I watched them and I'm like, they're not doing anything I feel like I can't do. And when I would watch NBA players in that moment, studying them, I'm like, I would never do any of the stuff that they're doing. That trick shot off 1 foot floating through, like I would never do that. And then I'd watch these guys and I'm like, I know I've ran that. I've caught that. I can do that play. I've made this play, whether it's in practice or whatever. But I'm like, so I know I can compete, not just make a roster, but be a force. And that's been the cool thing, is guys like Austin Hooper have been here, who I went from Jimmy Graham, who was the highest paid tight end in the league, to now I'm with Austin, which is a weird coincidence. But I've gotten a chance to be around the 2 highest paid tight ends in the recent generation of football. And when I see these guys, I don't see them doing something I can't do. Mm-hmm. So I know I just need to keep working, to stay focused, and just trust in my abilities. And now I have this plan and all these other good things in my little process. And now it's just, I'm healthy again. And then it's just getting back. And then that's going to be the same thing. I'm getting into the building, notepad, find somebody in the building that's successful. I'm like, all right, I'm going to just start watching this guy. And that's, I mean, it's so funny how it's stemmed. And that's why I wanted to start with talking about my high school, but it's stemmed from just like those learning lessons of just ask questions and just take the time to like dig deeper than what is you're seeing in front of you, and figure out fundamentally why this is happening, and then how to achieve it for yourself. Yeah. Like that base way of thinking, I feel like it just applies to all things, like even relationships. Like, you're talking to your woman, she's saying, well, she's just like, hey, well, I mean, think about it. She's just like, hey, you're not doing these things. Well, most guys were just like, yeah, all right. But if you actually like, she said this, she said that, she said this, and then just apply it a little bit. All of a sudden, your relationship just changes. And she's like, wow, you're whatever, this thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, I wrote it down. You wrote it down? I'm like, well, you told me it wasn't working. I'm like, it's so simple. And we all can do this. This isn't like a, like some magic trick. It's just putting pen to paper with your thoughts and addressing something. And you can only speak your language, right? So you speak in your language, how it hits your brain, and then start to slowly apply it. Mm-hmm. That's going to apply to the job world, like I said, to relationships, friendships, everything. At least I feel very strongly that way.
You're right, man. Yeah. That's like I think everybody's got a little something they could learn from you, dude.
And it's earth shattering, but it's not complex.
No,
it's so simple.
Yeah, we're just sitting here. I know I'm inspired. Man. like for real.
This is like, I can guarantee I'm gonna watch this podcast multiple times because there's so many things you've said that have either like I resonate with and apply to my weightlifting career, my athletic career. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm this is a favorite. I'm excited for this to come out. I'm excited for everyone to be able to see this, but at the same time, I'm holding this shit close to me, and I'm gonna listen to it multiple times because there's just so much good, so many nuggets of just perfect advice and wisdom that like. The first thing is you gotta write it down on a notepad.
That's where it starts.
Yeah.
It's like I said, and I've again, this is just observation, but just as men, we don't, and it's something I struggle with myself. We don't speak up enough about, say, vulnerable things like I don't know how to do blank. That is like a hard conversation in just the male species. So if it's that uncomfortable, start to write that down. Yeah. Get it out somehow. Because if you don't address these things, it can turn into an opportunity missed, which I've experienced, or it can end up being something great. Like you go from doing something you've never done before to something that's changed. Like football's changed my entire life. If I didn't play football, I would have never met my fiance. I would have never had enriching time with my family. I would have lived in Europe. Like so many things have changed, and it just went back to that same fundamentals. I just took the time to ask myself, what's really going on? And how can this become more than what it is today? Because I feel like as humans, we're always chasing growth, but growth can sometimes it's overwhelming. Yeah. Like everyone just tells you you're supposed to grow, like you're supposed to be so big. You're supposed to just, especially as an adult, as a man, you're supposed to just have it figured out and you just provide because you were just born with this lion heart, but and then we sit around and then, at least for me, I'm like, I don't know how to do any of these things. But the one thing I know I can do is if I actually write down what I don't know I'm going to do, it's going to remind me that, I still need to get that answered question, that question answered. And then I can become task oriented. I can have a process. And then before I know it, I've picked up a skill. Mm-hmm. I've picked up a talent. I can now have someone that I can share this with. And then it's so funny when we start talking as men, then it's like, oh yeah, we're all experiencing the same things. It's just written in your language. Yeah. And boom, you're like, I've grown. I didn't even realize I grew, and it just happened.
Level up,
right? I think it's cool that in human nature we have the capability to do that. Yeah. And that's where I just been trying to tap into that in the NFL, and then obviously when sports is over, that's a whole nother challenge I'm taking on now, is just trying to figure out like, how can I take this wealth of knowledge and do something to benefit somebody? It doesn't matter if it's tens of thousands, if it's just one kid in the gym, some kid at Safeway, just give them something that will make them say, oh man, I can do better than what I'm doing right now. I feel like that's all that matters.
Yeah. Man, we got it.
Yo, Adam, we need to fast track this episode. We're going to front load this one. I know we've already filmed like 8, but
we got it. I think we got to end on that, man. That's so awesome, man. Thanks for being like an inspiration and like a beacon of light, man. I know you're going to do like great things, whether it's next season in the league or like something beyond that.
2024 Olympics.
Like,
I'm really excited.
the where you're at now, like you're unstoppable. Whatever whatever you want to do, like you're gonna get it done. So
Absolutely.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. This was awesome. I really appreciate being a part of it.
thanks, brother. All right, see y'all.